Hi, welcome to today's episode of Exploring Politics. I'm your host, Peter Rapp, and today in our panel we will discuss issues such as the debate in America, Secret Service, and the new 76ers place. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back. The first debate that we have today is the nature of debate in America. Introducing this topic to us is panelist MJ.
Hi, my name is MJ, and I'm here to talk about debate in America. Civilized debate is essential for a healthy democratic society, fostering understanding, respect, and collaboration among a diversity of viewpoints. It encourages critical thinking, promotes informed decision-making, and helps individuals navigate complex issues constructively. Firstly, respectful engagement. Participants should be able to approach discussions with open minds and respect for others, avoiding personal attacks and inflaming language is crucial. Active listening. Effective debate requires listening to and understanding just to respond. This practice allows participants to appreciate opposing viewpoints and identify common ground. Constructive criticism focuses on the ideas rather than the individual. Critique should aim to enhance the conversation, not to demean or belittle others. Fact-based arguments. Use credible evidence to support claims, ensuring accuracy, helping maintain integrity of the debate and encouraging rational discourse. The common goals of civil debate are to recognize that the objective of the debate is to often reach better understanding involving or to solve problems collaboratively rather than win the argument. The benefits are enhancing understanding. Exposure to different perspectives broadens one's understanding of complex issues. Conflict resolution, constructive dialogue can result in misunderstandings and mitigate conflicts. Informed citizenship. Engaging in debate equips individuals with the knowledge and skills needed to participate meaningfully in democratic processes. The challenges to this, however, are civilized debate challenges such as polarization, misinformation, and the decline in trust in institutions. Overcoming these obstacles will require commitment from individuals and opportunities to prioritize respectful discourse. In recent years, we have lost civilized discord. Since 2016, there has been a lack of understanding of true constructive conversation between the parties. Let's discuss.
Do any of you have anything to add to that? Or takes on it?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think one of the biggest problems is people are concerned with looking good on TV and not so much with discussing the issues in depth. For example, in the recent debate, I think from both sides there were a lot of sound bites, and what this results in is just people talking past each other, trying to look good on TV rather than kind of diving into these issues and looking to come to a better understanding of these things.
Sure. Now, I just want to talk based on that. I feel like president debates are really important because it got us to know the different perspective, different sides, both Democratic side and Republican side. Even though the past two debates we didn't see a lot of these candidates actually talk about what some of their plans. Some of them try to attack each other. So we need more of civility where they can talk about what are some of the goals for the United States.
I would say not only in the presidential debate do we need this, but as well as in everyday debate with people. Having that kind of civility and having that public discourse is especially important to making sure people can make an informed opinion and challenge their own viewpoints.
Absolutely.
All right, well, would you guys like to move on to the second topic now?
Sure.
All right, well, we will now go to Matt Barra as he discusses some issues with the Secret Service.
Is Donald Trump safe? After yet another dangerously close assassination attempt on his life, many believe the answer is no. September 16th marked the second attempt on Donald Trump's life in a span of just 2 months. According to CNN, on Monday, Donald Trump was making his way down his golf course in Florida when Secret Service agents spotted the barrel of a gun near the perimeter of the golf course. Secret Service agents quickly pounced on the former president and proceeded to open fire on the gunman, who fled before being thankfully apprehended by police. President Biden then told reporters after the incident that, quote, "The Secret Service needs more help." Now, of course, Joe Biden is right. The Secret Service does need help, and ultimately it falls on President Biden to do something about it. U.S. Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe held a press conference on Monday afternoon, defending the Secret Service's response to the gunman. Rowe said, quote, "The Secret Service's protective methodologies work, and they are sound, and we saw that." The fact is, however, that on July 13th, Donald Trump was almost killed as a result of a massive failure of Secret Service to do the thing their agency was created to do. And the former president is lucky to be alive today. Just this week, a man was able to get within 300 yards of Donald Trump and could have easily taken a shot if he wasn't thankfully spotted by Secret Service agents. This again begs the question, is the former president of the United States safe? I mean, when we look at this, I think being president is one of the most difficult jobs out there and one of the most sort of risky. So, I mean, the fatality rate for being president is like 20%. I mean, 8 presidents have died in office. So, I mean, did Donald Trump luck out here after getting through 2 assassination attempts?
I'll pick up on this one. I love the way you start off the briefings. You said, is Donald Trump safe? That's a good question because we noticed over the past, a month, there were like 2 attempts at assassination, which is really critical. And I also love the response from President Joe Biden. You know, even though they're not on the same party, but he kind of like shows some concern about what's going on there. The Secret Service needed like put some measures out there because I understand there were some thoughts on having more funds for Secret Service. I feel like it's important because elections are on the way, and this is the second time we don't know what's going to happen next. So there definitely should be some measures before we have another, hopefully not another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with being a former president is while you are given that sort of Secret Service protection, you don't get as much as a sitting president would. Do you think there's a case to be made that Donald Trump should sort of have this added protection and that he should have more personnel?
I would say, especially given the height of his popularity, there is a case for it because we've never had a president quite like him before. And never before have we had an incident where president has been attempted assassination twice within, a month?
Yeah, just 2 months,
So I believe there is a case for that, yes.
Yeah. So it really is a bipartisan issue. I think both sides agree that this is something that has to change. And speaking of bipartisan issues, we will now move on to Larry's topic, the new 76ers place.
Absolutely. So here we go. At around 2:37 p.m. on September 19, 2024, the mayor of Philadelphia, Shirley Parker, posted a tweet regarding the change of location of the Philadelphia Sixers stadium to the city, saying, "As the mayor, I'm speaking from my City Hall office with a very important announcement. I am proud to share that I have made my decision and an agreement has been reached to ensure that the Sixers are staying home." There were no specific reasons why she said this. However, she said that it will bring hundreds and hundreds of jobs to the Center City. There were a lot of mixed feelings. Some people are in support of this, and some people are not in support of this. What does this mean for the city?
Well, I mean, I think the problem is, I mean, the mayor said that the Sixers are staying home, but I mean, the fact is it doesn't seem like they are staying home.
Right.
I mean, in my view, their home is the Wells Fargo Center, and now we're moving them into, Chinatown. And I mean, what are the ramifications that are going to be a result of this? I think traffic is going to be a huge issue. It's bad enough. Finding parking spots. I mean, how are the businesses in Chinatown going to be affected by this? I mean, we really don't know, and we're just kind of saying, oh, well, let's do this because we think it'll be better because of scheduling conflicts. But ultimately, I don't think that this is a good move at all.
Not only that, but I would say the jobs that are about to be created by the stadium are temporary. These are union jobs that once that stadium's built, they are going to disappear and we're going to be left with a ruined economy in Chinatown. And like you said, similar to that, traffic is going to be horrible. The public transportation system is going to be so backed up. It is not going to be good for the city. We have a specific stadium district for a reason. It should stay there.
Absolutely. I'm excited you actually say that because, one of the reasons that she actually stated about why they want to move this stadium to Center City, she was like provide hundreds of jobs. And I feel like there are other ways to provide jobs for citizens or just people around Philadelphia area. So there are more negative impacts to this more than positive impacts, because just like you mentioned, traffic is going to be a big thing. And not even that, if you think about just like restaurants around, I'm pretty sure the prices are going to go really high. And I was also concerned about safety. What do you guys think about? Do you think it's a safe thing to do?
I'm concerned, what if there's a fire? That place is going
That's
to
that.
be so packed. Every corner is going to be parked on.
right.
What if there's a fire? That's
a good
immediately
point.
where my mind goes to.
That's right.
But on top of that, with the safety thing, I think that there's not only the chance of dangers with that, but going back to the economic impacts of this, like I said, it is going to devastate this local economy, absolutely devastate it. And the jobs it's going to create are not going to be sufficient enough to fill that void.
That's right,
I
absolutely.
mean, was there ever even like a census on whether or not most Philadelphians agree with this? I mean, I would imagine most Philadelphians don't want this to happen. Most people don't want us to change
Right.
the location of our stadium.
Yeah, I think you're right in saying that. I think there have been polls conducted, and I believe that a majority of Philadelphians are against moving the stadium. However, ultimately, the mayor has given the okay, unfortunately. So now we're going to go to break, and when we come back, we will have an interview with Dr. Mark Thomas.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
Hi, welcome back to Exploring Politics. I'm your host, Peter Rapp, and today I'm sitting down with Dr. Mark Thomas here at LaSalle University to discuss why it's so important for young Americans to be involved in politics. So I guess we'll just get started with why is this election in particular so important?
Well, I'm not sure this election is more important than other ones.
Yeah.
Every election's important. This one's being cast in the media, outside of you guys, I hope, as being an existential election. That if Trump wins, it's the end of democracy. Likewise, Harris, Republicans are going to say that if Harris wins, it's the end of democracy. I don't fall into either camp on that one. I believe that every election is important, and this one's important in particular because it's going to decide our next 4 years, maybe even further out, when it comes to things like what does our immigration policy look like? What's going to happen with the cost of living, really, which is outside the control of the president. That's up to really partially the fiscal spending policy of Congress and partially the Federal Reserve. But how we envision hope, be it from the Republican side or from the Democratic side, that's why it's important. This election is important. So it decide our next 4 years, really.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What role do young people play in that political process? How important are they to deciding the next 4 years?
Absolutely. The generation, your generation, one brings in a wealth of ideas and values, which are fairly, they keep the system vital. But more importantly, you're a fairly large, important demographic, which is why when Taylor Swift endorsed Harris, that probably sent shivers through the Trump campaign.
Yeah.
Because she brings a large, young demographic. There are a few of us old folks that like Taylor Swift, but that brings a large demographic. And it's important that you guys as youngsters get out and vote, because there's an assumption, it could be wrong from the Democrat side, that this will guarantee a Harris victory. It's going to be very close in November, very close. I think it's statistically tied. Everything's within a margin of error here in Pennsylvania. New Jersey's going to go Democrat. Doesn't mean the votes don't matter there, but Pennsylvania is very close. Mm-hmm. So your generation getting out and voting will decide who is president. And it's going to be the turnout that matters. So the more people that turn out, the more likely the election will tilt one way or the other. The Democrats are gambling that the youth will vote for Harris because, especially their demographic of the youth, large number of women voters, Harris campaign's gambling that the women voters are going to side with Harris over Trump. Mm-hmm. And if even your youth tends to fall in a demographic which tends to want to restore the Roe protections or the Roe guidelines. Yeah. So your group falls into that category, which is really where the Harris campaign's putting their bet on you guys, right?
Yeah. So outside of voting, what are some ways that young Americans, either on campuses or off campuses, can get involved in our nation's politics?
That list is endless, only limited by your imagination. The easiest ways to get involved, right now, every year there's a political campaign, volunteering to work on a campaign of your choice. The other one is there's plenty of social movements out there. We've talked about one or two already offline about there is the movement that Jude Hussein's organizing or organized. So how do we handle the Palestinian issue and what to do about Israel? There's a social movement out there for every cause, and it's just a matter of finding where that social movement is or where the protest movement is. On campus or off campus, there is a group for everybody out there to put pressure on the system. And social movements, protest movements are very critical because those tend to be the issues that the parties aren't paying close enough attention to. Yeah. And if you don't like what the Republicans and Democrats as a collective are doing, that's where social movements come in and say, we need to move it. The youth in the past have helped us end the Vietnam War or pull out of the Vietnam War. Youth in the past have helped push the civil rights movement, the LGBTQ movement. It's been the youth, it's not us old folks. It's up to you guys to push us old folks past our comfort zone. And that means the politicians up there. So you've got getting involved in political campaigns, you get involved in the social movements, protest movements. You can actually, I know here's my educator, you can get involved in the internships. We have plenty of people that work within Comptroller's office or within working on the staff, not as campaign staff, but as actually helping draft the Congresspeople's speeches or helping draft the budgets in certain offices. There's one down in DC this summer. She got involved actively in a part of transportation, actually maritime security's budget drop. There are lots of ways to get involved. Depends what you want to do.
Yeah. So at every step of our American political process, there are places where young people can get involved, where they are needed to be involved. Even in our city, there are many organizations. Could you just list maybe a couple that would be the most either enticing or important that you feel, at least?
Well, let's look at some of the ones that have kind of gone overlooked. College Democrats. We have a vital organization here on campus. College Democrats, one, kind of do what Democracy Matters is doing now. Rallies young Democrats, it trains them how to work in party politics. There used to be a College Republicans on campus. We're just waiting for people to stand up and say we want to do it again. In the city, we have, naturally we have civil rights movements. Out there we have groups to advocate for children. And I'm trying to think of specific names. None of them come across my head, but if you send me emails, I'll find them for you and get you involved with them. It's up to you. I mean, one of my favorite organizations, totally volunteer, I'm not sure if all of our college kids are able to get in, is Court-Appointed Special Advocates for Children, where you kind of work like a social worker, but you advocate for the child on behalf of the courts. All right, and then there's all the different movements to help the homeless or the impoverished. There's a great deal out there aside from political movements. Okay, and then there's one I mentioned again, pushing for Palestinian rights. There's one pushing for protection of Israel. We've got a lot out there, even here within the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's great to hear that there are many ways for.
Of course, there's
people
what
to be
about
involved.
the Sixers place too?
Oh, right, yes.
We can't forget Sixers place.
That's
Sixers
a
place is
very big issue.
Yeah, it's a really big issue.
Yeah, we might have a guest on that on the show in the future. So please stay tuned for future episodes where we will be discussing that issue, likely endlessly until it is resolved. So young people can make real change both locally and nationally through their actions in our political system. Where do you think the best place people can go to is for people to be politically educated? Because that is a very important step in the process of getting politically involved.
The best place to become politically educated? LaSalle. No, I mean really, any college or university or even high schools, and there's a big initiative now put out partially by Congress, but largely sponsored by the Constitution Center downtown, focusing on civic education. Civic education isn't just what to do in the system, it's how does that system work? Because if you don't understand how the system works, you can't get involved. The fact that we have social movements, interest groups, parties, that gives the overview. Everybody knows 3 branches of government. Actually, I take that back. Sometimes when I get people into classes, they don't know we have 3 branches of government. So how can you be a good citizen? This goes back to the high schools. So learning about what does the system look like, what's the Constitution say, because that's your protection. Yeah, and then going beyond just the basics of civics, becoming an educated citizen. It came up the other night after the debates, and that people said, well, how do we know what's true or not true? Do we need the reporters or the moderators of the debates to tell us what's false? It's like, no. The media can only influence you or tell you what to think if you don't know anything about the topic. Likewise, a candidate can only tell you what to think if you don't know anything about the topic. Hence why education, just not about politics, but about every issue out there. I mean, I can pull out Plato and say democracies fail when we don't have educated voters. And it means educated in a broad sense. The other part of being a good civic engager is knowing how to talk with your adversaries. And exchange ideas back and forth, because you're eventually going to grow through that dialectic. But the other part, you learn from them. And the other part, on a practical level, unless you can talk with your people you disagree with on policy, we'll never get to a good policy. We have to come together on what's good for America. You and I will never, well, you and I may agree, Peter, but a lot of people disagree about what is good or what does social justice mean. Republicans believe in social justice. It's how we get to it, or how we get to it as Democrats, how we get to it as Republicans, that matter. Republicans more in favor of social justice by empowering people, but not giving them money to do it. Hence that social spending issue. Which was what differentiated good Republicans from Democrats. I leave out the bad Republicans. There's another wing of the Republican Party which is not real Republican. I think about the John McCain's, the Reagans being on the good Republican side.
So it's very important for young people to be both politically educated and politically involved, and there are many places for them to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then to get civic dialogue. How do you talk to your adversary? I'm very happy. Back in my day, it was uncommon for a Democrat to marry a Republican.
Well, hopefully that'll change. But thank you for coming and speaking with us today. This has been a great conversation. We are going to go to a brief break, and then we will be right back with our panelists. Thank you for tuning in.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family, Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
Hi, welcome back to Exploring Politics. We are back with our panel for some final thoughts on that interview. MJ, would you like to go first?
Absolutely. I believe that registering to vote is one of the most important things youth in America can do. It's the way that you can make your voice heard, and it's the way that you can change your democracy. If you want things to change, you have to be the change.
All right, that was great. Matt, do you have anything to say?
Sure. I think that at a time where political polarization is as rampant as it is, it's very important for us to be a sort of educated citizenry. And I think this can happen in a number of ways. The obvious way is to read a lot of books, be informed. I think also we should get involved in more of our local areas where it's feasible. For example, if you're a student in high school, getting involved in student council is a great way. This is kind of a microcosm of politics as a whole. And I do think that if you can ask yourself why you believe what you believe, and you can answer that question, then you're more qualified to run this country than 90% of politicians.
I think that was very well put. Larry, do you have anything to add?
Absolutely. Just to go back to what Em just said, if you want to see a change, you got to be the change. I'll definitely say this starts right now since we have elections coming up. Make sure you look on the local news, know about what's going on political-wise, and so you make the right decision and put the right vote.
Thank you. Now, I think it is important for young people to be involved across everything in their life. You make your life from scratch. You make all of your own choices. Don't let other people choose for you. Educate yourself, get involved. For example, with the issue of the 76ers arena, many people organized to fight against it. For the example of debate, many people organize to have civil discussion. But thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Exploring Politics. I will see you all in 2 weeks when we meet with another guest and have more panelists. Thank you very much.